Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, we'll continue our book reading this morning, The Toyota Way to Service Excellence by Jeffrey K. Liker and Karen Ross. Still looking at the developing name process. Still looking at a short story from NL Service Incorporation. Yesterday, we looked at grasping the situation, getting to know the organization, the culture, and the issues. This was where Leslie had to or got to know more about the organization, wanting to communicate and get in touch with everyone to know how things are being done and how their processes are being, done too. Today on page 97, we'll be looking at getting to know the organization, culture, and issues. Reflection. And we'll also look at narrowing the problem space and establishing the team. Narrowing the problem space and establishing the team. So reflection, getting to know the organization, culture, and issue. Some direct reports are getting the news that Sam is excited about the new consultant and is on board. Sam has even developed a simple but powerful vision statement, and it is focused on service quality from the customer's perspective. Now we have the beginning of the direction for improvement. Leslie did not have a fixed agenda on her first day at the Gemba. She was watching and waiting for the right opportunity to understand what was really going on. On cue, as John was explaining things, Kathy walked in and Leslie saw a golden opportunity for a quick win, solving the 10-line problem. It was clear that simply sitting with John and listening to him go over reports and expound on what he thought the key issues were was not going to give her a picture of the current condition. They needed to go to the Gemba, that is the workshop, if we could remember what it means in Japanese. And encouraging Joe to go to the Gemba with her was an opportunity to do some coaching. The next one says narrowing the problem space and establishing the team. Sam McCain was pacing back and forth in his office. It was a Wednesday afternoon, just after lunch, 12:45 to be exact, and he had a 1 o'clock meeting with Leslie. What could possibly be taking her so long? Sam wondered. He had spent his whole morning on the telephone again. He had had to field calls from angry executive VIPs, calls from the corporate quality department, and worst of all, calls from corporate audit. Next, there was the required round of calls to all the regional managers. What could be so hard about getting to these numbers, especially the client retention numbers? What could they possibly be doing down there in operation that was causing so many customers to leave? Sam fumed. And where is Leslie? He thought to himself again. Leslie should know how to get to the bottom of this. She certainly spent enough time with the credit transaction processors to have figured out what the problem is and what could be done about it. Not next year, but right now. Just as Sam was about to pick up the phone again, Leslie, calm and cheerful as always, rounded the corner into his office. Sam, how are you today? Good to see you again, said Leslie. I've really learned a lot about your business since the last time we met, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you today. Leslie said to Sam, that's exactly what I was hoping to hear. I've spent the whole morning on the telephone with corporate, and it seems that the credit transaction problem has gotten so bad that we have just lost our biggest customer. That's a huge hit to the Southern Region retention numbers, and it's going to have a huge impact on our revenue. And if that isn't enough, the fines the customers got from the state are so huge that now I've got corporate quality and all this threatening to come down here to go through my operations with a fine-toothed comb. You've spent the last 2 weeks taking a look at what they are doing in operation. I expect that by now you have pinpointed the problem and know what to do about them. I'm ready to hear what solution you have for us. I'm ready to hear them right now. Leslie took a deep breath and leaned slightly forward in her chair. This was always one of the hardest parts of her job, helping clients understand that she wasn't going to provide them with immediate solution, but instead would help them learn to see what and where the obstacles were, what were causing the problems their customers were experiencing. Sam and I understood how upsetting it is to lose one of your biggest customers. And you're right. I've been spending time getting at an understanding of what is going on in your credit transaction processing operation. And I've been able to see some of the problems firsthand. What I've learned from watching how the credit transaction processors do their work is that a number of the processes that they use don't support your vision of processing. Every customer's credit transaction, right and on time, every time, especially when processing more than 10 credit transactions at a time for your larger customer. I know that you really wish that I could offer you a quick fix that would make all the problems go away, but in my experience, there isn't any. I know that this may seem counterintuitive, but I believe that what we really need to do is put together a team of the people who do the work, the people who really understand how the work is done and know the problems from the customer's point of view. To study the problem in depth, identify the obstacles that are causing the problems for your customers, and come up with what we call countermeasures, possible solutions to those problems. We'll then test the countermeasures to see if they solve the problem. Leslie paused a moment to let Sam absorb what she had just said. Think about it, Sam. When you just put band-aid in a place to try to fix the problems in the past so that you could make your numbers, what happened? The problems seem to go away for a little while and then they just come back up. If we want a different result, we're going to have to try something different. Sam looked at Leslie thoughtfully. This wasn't what he expected, but he had to admit that what she was saying was correct. No matter what they seemed to try, the problem kept coming back, and now they seem to be getting worse. Leslie, Sam said, this isn't what I expected, but at the moment things are so bad that I'm willing to give anything to try. Leslie smiled and said, thanks, Sam. The first thing we need to do is put a team together. We need credit transaction processors, people from their supporting departments, and some managers. And we need a lead for this pilot project. When I was visiting operations, I spent a good deal of time with Joe, one of the CTPMs. He's really thoughtful and I think he might be a great lead. He was willing to spend time with his credit processors, watching how they do their work so he could see where the problems are coming from. He seems very open to learning, and that's exactly what we need. I will need your support to get the ball rolling and get John, your regional manager, to approve the time and the resources. Sam didn't say anything for a minute. Then he got up from his table, where he and Leslie had been sitting, and moved to his desk. Leslie, I will send John a note now. I know he's not going to like giving up the resources and the time, especially since we are under such close scrutiny at the moment. But we'll give your way a try. Sam typed for a couple of minutes. Shutting his laptop, he moved back to the table where Leslie was still sitting, looking calmly and collected as ever. Thanks, Sam, Leslie said. This is going to be a new way of thinking and working for NL services. So your support is going to be unbelievably important. We need to solve problems your customers are having. Right now, you hear about the problems from corporate when your numbers are low or customers leave. But I have to ask you, when was the last time that you went over to the operations to see what was happening for yourself? Go to operations and see what's happening. Sam thought about it for a moment, realizing he couldn't actually remember the last time he had gone over to the operations. Leslie, to be honest, I haven't been over to operations in a very long time. Too long. Can't seem to find the time between phone calls from corporate. I guess he laughed. But if you think that's what I need to do, I'll do it. Since nothing else had worked, I'm willing to give your way a try. Okay, so this is where we'll stop for our reading this morning. And he said, getting to know the organization's culture and issue, and also narrowing the problem space and establishing a team. So after Leslie got to know the organization, its culture, and its issues, what he went further to do is to establish a team, like what we saw on the last paragraph, where he was telling him the kind of teams she will need to make sure that everything goes well in NL services, most especially those that concern the customer. Remember where we read yesterday, his big vision for the company was to attend to customers on time, every time. That means there shouldn't be a waste of time in attending to customers and the rest of it, which is actually the big problem that the company is having at NL Service Corporation. Okay, so this is where we'll stop for our reading this morning. Thank you.